welcome. Thank you for joining. We are doing a Dreamforce tour, a virtual tour. For those of you that didn't get to make it out, or you just want a recap of some of the things that happened there, we'll be doing that tonight. Diane is our speaker, and she'll be walking you through it. And actually, in the bottom right, that is a picture from San Francisco, from the boardwalk down there. And let's see here, the next slide. So the agenda, we'll do quick intros, and then we'll talk about the Dreamforce fun, and then go over some pictures from Max's birthday party, and then the main presentation, Achieving Hyperautomation with Salesforce and MuleSoft, and then a few things coming up. And this is me. Not going to read it to you. Glad to be here. Been around in this space for probably a decade now. Got a couple of companies. Innovation Solved is sponsoring this meetup tonight, and that's the company that I have. And these are some of the things that we do: MuleSoft and Salesforce and enterprise advisory services, and we're very active in all of that. And then here's some pictures from Dreamforce itself. Let's say, I'm trying to remember where some of these were taken. In the bottom left is when we went to the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, so headquarters, and that actually I think all three of the bottom ones are that. And we got to go up, several of us got to go up and actually meet some of the executives at MuleSoft and talk with them about what's going on in the landscape and product enhancements and things that are coming down the pipeline, and that was really a lot of fun and very interesting, and lots of great context there. And then Max's birthday. Max just turned 10, and there's some pictures from Dreamforce where they had a birthday cake for him. And then down in the bottom right, that's another celebration we did and sponsored over in Atlanta, and that was a lot of fun. And now I am going to hand it over to Diane Kesler, our speaker. I'm excited to hear what she's going to present tonight. Diane, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. And yeah, it's great to be here. And this time I'm actually a presenter. Many times I'm Meetup leader and assisting with things. And so at any rate, I will go ahead and share my screen. So Barnes, if you want to stop the share, I'll transition over into mine. Oops, hold on a second. Let me get it where I want it. There we go. Okay. All right. So as Barnes mentioned, this meetup we've been doing for the month of October. We've been doing the Salesforce or Dreamforce tour to recreate the presentations that we did at Dreamforce. So you're going to see this is Achieve Hyperautomation with MuleSoft. Now I of course, you know, the safe harbor, forward-looking statements, everything that you will see in this presentation is going to be GAing in November. So I'm going to share some of that with you, but of course, any purchasing decisions, safe harbor details, you can read the fine print. So at any rate, I'm not going to read the fine print, but I co-presented with Gaurav and Joey on this meetup, and they're on the other side of the world. You know, they're actually having morning right now, and I know that their schedules are challenging to make it at evening events for us. But nonetheless, I'm going to do my best to bring the presentation to you solo without my associates here, but they're brilliant. They were so much fun to present with. And, you know, just to be in their space and the experience that was there was a great honor for me to be on the stage with them. So I come to you as Principal Hyperautomation Architect with InnovationSolved. So I am aligned with Barnes with InnovationSolved and really supporting the work that's happening there. We're currently on an IDP hyperautomation project now in the healthcare space, and really excited about the difference that that's going to make for our given company. And I'm sure that we'll be sharing their use case at future events, because it's really cutting edge and revolutionizing what their needs are. So very excited about that. That's just a little bit about myself. But what is hyperautomation? You know, many times, especially when this first debuted, I was, along the lines of, I know what automation is. I was actually even asked to be part of the team that created the hyperautomation exam and course material. And I said, I know what automation is, but I'm not quite sure, what are you getting at with hyperautomation? So the more you learn, the more you get vested into something. And in our world, automation, of course, is, to streamline and utilize, different technologies to produce a automated, virtually untouched by humans, unless you have a human in the loop for a decision on something, to really expedite a process, so it'll minimize, that, human intervention, redesigning processes that may have been painstakingly slow or not as efficient. And so the whole goal is to have a better business outcome, something that's more efficient, more accurate, and really is providing a more solid solution. So some of the key technologies that we look at as far as this is concerned, I'm not going to read them word for word all the way down the line, but there are tools that we can use that support the hyperautomation pieces. The low code solutions in the category of low code is going to be Composer. Also Salesforce flows. There's the pro code when you start getting more detailed into defining your configurations. That's on the MuleSoft side. We also have AI present here in using optical character recognition techniques with AI components intertwined with that. And then robotic process automation, just really taking out those painfully, human tasks and allowing a bot to manage some of that along the lines. So also I want to mention, if you have any questions, be sure to stop me and ask a question along the way, or Barnes, if you can keep an eye on the chat, that would be great. So Salesforce Answer to Hyperautomation really is involving several of the tools we already have, know, and love. And there are some new ones also that are available. We've got, the Salesforce CRM. We've got also integrating seamlessly with Anypoint platform. There's a nice integration piece that's happening between a Salesforce org and a MuleSoft platform or Anypoint platform that really streamline those integrations. Again, the no code or low code MuleSoft or Composer, that is a piece that allows and really a business analyst to come in and just drop in some of those connectors that are pre-built and minimally require a lot of configuration to them, so that they can actually self-serve some of their needs that they would have without involving IT to a great extent. And then the things that come under the category of those human task automations, for example, an individual that I know that this was presented. I heard a testimony of the RPA and the intelligent document processing being shared with an individual who her job was to take a document, it was online, a PDF, copy data from it and manually place it over into a form. That's her job. That's what she's been doing, mundane, 8 hours a day. That's her job. And so this was shared with her. She broke into tears. She said, "You mean that this will handle that for me and I can focus on other more meaningful things?" She wants to go to college. She wanted to do, in other words, she wanted to advance her career. And here, this was her job for her company. So at any rate, this is going to take, yes, some people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to take my job." Well, it's going to take the mundane tasks, out of those hands and allow your company to scale more easily than having to hire additional people to do those mundane tasks. And we can focus on more valuable and more important things to do. But in addition, the ability to integrate with other platforms like Tableau Analytics, in the AI categories of Salesforce Einstein, as well as using the AWS AI services as well. So we're going to see how they all kind of come in together. When it comes to the MuleSoft automation, now MuleSoft automation, as I mentioned, is Composer. These are all, when Composer came out a few years ago, it was kind of interesting. It was really exciting, but there were like maybe 10 connectors. And it's like, oh, wow, okay, so let's use these. Well, it turns out, look at the growth that we've seen in this area. These are pre-built connectors that allow you to integrate seamlessly with any of these platforms. And so whether it be that you're sending data into Snowflake, whether it be that you are pushing data into Tableau that allows you to have meaningful dashboards or email notifications, etc., this makes it so easy to do. In addition, you can also integrate Composer with a MuleSoft REST API as well. So it can be a connector that is not shown here that you've created. Yes, I am sharing, Angela. And I'm not sure why it is not showing. Are other people able to see the presentation?
I'm able to see it.
Okay. Angela, I'm not sure why you may not be seeing it. Okay, Leonardo. Hey, Leonardo. Great to have you with us. So
maybe you drop and join back. Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, probably so, Angela. Yeah. It is recorded, so you can watch it later. Okay. Yeah, Leonardo, great to see you too. Okay, so there's Composer. And like I said, 30 connectors. Now I'll tell you a little hint. Shh. There is a hint that this is going to appear back under Salesforce again. Okay. Because originally when this came out, and I still have a Salesforce org that has Composer as an app. Then it spun out on its own, and Composer was its own entity. And now it's under, and you'll see it in my demo, now it's actually under the Hyperautomation package or SKU that's available. But at any rate, I've heard that it's going to be probably showing back up under a Salesforce org. But that's just something that I heard. At any rate, then we have RPA. Now, RPA means robotic process automation. And what this does is it, as you see on the slide, it can interact with emails. It can interact with a website that doesn't have a REST API or any means in which you can really, or SOAP, interface or anything like that, but it will allow you to essentially, just interact with these different sources, whether it be email interaction, whether it's it can even call a REST API. But what it will allow us to do is to step-by-step program a bot to do exactly what a human might be doing in that case. And so it will take that, the processes and the data and be able to, interact through Composer, interact through Salesforce, through Mule to get this data back. Because as you build out a bot, this bot gets deployed to production, and then it actually has an asset in exchange that allows you to interact with it in many different ways. So this is, again, that tool that's revolutionizing the mundane tasks, and it also has a new element to it that showed up about a month ago that allows you to interact with intelligent document processing as well. So from robotic process automation, I can also interact with the intelligent document processing asset too. So very nice feature. Now, I keep mentioning IDP, intelligent document processing, and essentially what this is, It allows us to use technologies that have been around for a while, but as someone has mentioned, it just cracks me up when I hear it. It's not your grandpa's version of optical character recognition. It's actually very intelligent. It's actually using an AI component that will, a trusted layer AI component that will assess, extract, and assess the data. And so as what we essentially do, I'm going to walk you through that process so you can see it. But it is supporting and promoting the automation portion of it, because again, it's going to look at data in either PDF or JPG. So there are just certain formats that it is interacting with, or I should say supporting. And as it does, it will take a look at the document page and pull the data that it's noted, or I guess you could say that it's seeing by utilizing optical character recognition. But not just that straight data, it also can take that data and you can ask it a natural language question in regards to the data that's there. Like, look at this document. Pretend I'm a hiring agent and I am drilling down and looking at, the skill set of this individual, something that a human would be doing, and go through a resume. Because if you've ever posted a job for anything and you need to go through 200 resumes, it can be very time consuming. And so this would give you the ability. The use case that I did and presented for Dreamforce is based on a resume. So that's why I'm kind of, sharing some of that with you. So anyway, through the IDP, again, once I'll walk you through the process of what it looks like, but it's a component of the Hyperautomation SKU. So it's in the Hyperautomation package. And basically there is a it's called a document action. And right now, when you go into the document actions, there's two preset document actions that you can utilize, but the one that is the generic setting allows us to really do the natural language questions and be able to extract data from the document itself. Even imaging. So in my case, I used my resume. I also used, I have images of some of my certifications in this entire PDF document packet. Okay. And so so you start off with the interface. This is the interface. And you start configuring these are called prompts. You start configuring the prompts or the natural language questions that you want to ask the AI component when it's looking at your package or your documents. Like this is, like I said, an entire PDF of my resume and my certifications. And so as it does this process, it will answer these questions. Now, when I'm just configuring it, it'll render these answers right here in the interface. So I know how it's going to behave. Once I'm satisfied with the results of it, I'll publish it to Exchange, and then I can use it in a MuleFlow. I can use it in Composer. I can use it on other platforms as a Anypoint Platform asset. Okay. So this kind of gives you a view of what that looks like, in the interface for it. So now it's going to lead us to the demo. So I'm going to pause it at a couple of different places along the way. So first of all, this is a SKU, or in other words, an Anypoint Platform new offering. It's the Hyperautomation package. And so in the automation package here, you'll see Intelligent Document Processing, RPA Manager, and Composer is just out of sight, but I should scroll down. I believe I scrolled down to show it. Nope, I logged in. Anyway, I can go back and show you some of that. So in here, this is, once I clicked on Intelligent Document Processing, this brought me into where the document actions are. And so as we're using the document actions, I clicked on Create New, and I have a new document action here. That's the Dreamforce generic demo. So in this, once you get into here, let me pause it. Once you get into here, like I said, you start writing out the prompts that you want to have the AI generate data back for you. And you can, when this product GAs, it's going to be GA November 7th. This is the newer version. This is the pilot version that you're seeing, courtesy of Innovation Solve. Thank you, Barnes, because we are really working with this feverishly on a project. So we were granted early access to this. And at any rate, the prompts right now, I have 4 different prompts. But we understand there's going to be a change in this interface come November. And our next meetup that we're going to do is going to be diving deeper into the differences between the pilot version, if you happen to have access to the pilot version of AI, and the GA version, because we will actually be working on the GA version very soon. So we're going to share like an early sneak peek at that with you all at our next meetup. So Barnes will be getting a date on that for you, and we'll be diving into that. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you so that you know, because right now these are very short prompts, but the going GA, there will be larger volumes of prompts and things like that. So there's going to be some differences there. So you can ask a more comprehensive question and get a lot more data back than what you're going to see here. Okay, so don't just think, oh, it's real simple. I only need to do, smaller portions of it. No, you can do quite a bit larger questions and get that volume of data. So once you come in and you start creating your prompts and your questions you want to have here, then you can upload or select the file that you want to run this against. And of course, there's a resume there that I threw, an old resume that actually should be updated. It doesn't have my new position on there, but it will run once you add it there, and then you go ahead and click the run. It's going to, AI is doing its job. It's going out there. It's scanning every page. Okay. And it's only showing one file, but I believe there were like 6 pages to this, 6 or 7 pages. I shortened this video. So there we go. Now it has finished. Oh, 26 pages. Wow. I put a lot of stuff in there. So at any rate, it has multiple pages here. So in the AI component, what it's doing is it's reading the entire document and it's assessing. It's capturing data for me. I'm going to show you some of that data. It's capturing data for me, and you'll see, there it is right there. Let me go back up. Come on. There it is. Okay. So you'll see a couple of things here. One of them is the output, right? So there's the output that you're seeing here. That's actually what it pulled from the document. And there is a confidence level here as well. Let me see if I can get it to come back up to that confidence level. There it is. Okay. So as there's 2 different categories that you can see the results of in this window, basically in the user interface. And this user interface is only for configuring this and seeing the results you get. Ultimately, it's going to run and, in a automation mode later. So this is only for getting it set up and configuring and see if you're pleased with your document action. And so this is the Einstein version. This is the AI results. Okay. And it's giving me an 88.9% confidence level. And so I could say if the confidence level was at a lower percentage, you can set the confidence level to where it would kick it, this document, when it runs through automation, it could kick it back into a review category, or where you need to review the tasks and be able to have an opportunity to either add information for it or reject that one completely. So you are in control here of any of the confidence scores that might be lower when you set those values at a lower value. Okay. And then moving forward a little bit here, let me back up just one other part. Okay, here we go. So this one is, if you'll notice, this one is saying that there was information that was not found. Now that is the text track result that is the previous version, that if you have the automation SKU right now, you're likely going to be running on the early release of this that's not got the AI component to it. And like in this case, it doesn't know what to do with this. It's really looking for something very simplistic of an answer, but we're all moving into the SKU with the AI component. So as soon as I change this to the Einstein result, then I got the AI results. You'll see the IDP, NLP, that's the text track. What we want is the AI. So you'll see two different results on that. And let me bring it forward here just a little bit. There we go. So you can see this is the AI component there. Let me go ahead and let this roll. And so it's extracting information for us. It's getting detailed data. So what I asked it for, one of the other questions I asked it for in one of the prompts was, what are their top, according to the AI, what is it noticing as the top 10 strengths that this candidate has? And so this is the JSON output that I got from just testing it out with the document action. And this is the result that I got that's more in a JSON format for us to read it a little bit easier. And so just by it assessing, so AI has assessed the resume and it has come back with the top 10 strengths. And so that's where you can see not only did it get the raw data that I wanted, but it's also doing an assessment that I can take into consideration. You know, that may be, I may not hold it as gospel truth, but I would hold it as a means of, okay, that's something to consider with this candidate. And then another question that I asked it was, would this person be recommended and why? So again, it's another element of a assessment. I'm asking AI to give me its opinion. And so this recommendation in this case, it mentioned, I asked, would this, you know, to give an assessment if this candidate was hireable or undesirable, I think is what I told it, and why. And so then in its own words, it assessed and kind of gave an opinion or a reason for why it would assess it that this candidate was desirable and or hireable. And I find it really fascinating. You know, of course, when you're going through 200 resumes, I don't know if any of you have done that. Personally, I have done that, and it can be very time consuming and challenging and draining. And, you know, sometimes you're just looking for the, you know, details of what what the job specs are, you know, what your requirements are for a job. And, you know, so you can use AI to ask these questions. I am looking for this particular, you know, this skill set and this experience, and it will be able to identify if they're there or not. It's not necessarily, you know, making a decision per se, but is providing us with some valuable input for a decision. So anyway, that kind of gives you an idea of how this is working. And then once we're happy with this and you are pleased with the results for the document action, then we can publish it to Exchange. And then in Exchange, it becomes an asset. This is where on the Exchange side, we have it as an asset that can be used in many different platforms. There's two parts to this. The first part, when we're actually using it as a connector in Mule or using it as a part of a Composer piece, there's two steps to it. The first step is that getting access to that document and sending it in as a post to this endpoint, to our endpoint. And once that post goes in, it's actually running through that document action, just like you saw in the user interface. Okay, so it's using that endpoint. And once it goes through that process at the, once it's concluded, come on, there we go. There you go. That's the actual endpoint right there. Once it's concluded and this, you add in your credentials and you will receive back a doc ID, a document ID. And that ID is what is going to be needed. Yeah, that's the end of that one. That doc ID is what's going to be needed to retrieve the data and get the JSON structure back from IDP with the detailed information in there. So we had a 20-minute window to share our presentation. So that was the demo, and it had to be recorded. We had to chop a lot of things off. Normally, I'd go into quite a bit more information as far as that's concerned. But let me move this over to the next slide. 1 second. Okay, come on now. There you go. All right. Okay. So to continue with the slide presentation from Dreamforce, that's kind of where we had to cut it off. It had to kind of stop there, but many of you know I like to dive in deeper and go longer into things. But the next slide we conclude with is RPA. So that was the demo you just saw with IDP, Intelligent Document Processing, and then some of the details with the robotic process automation. The Anypoint platform does support the entire life cycle of a bot, from the design all the way through to the build, and then of course the test, and then into production. And this allows us to move any of those mundane human tasks, into a bot that will handle a lot of that work for us. So in regards to, again, if I wanted to categorize a lot of the resume results that I, wanted to take that information and categorize it into maybe sending emails to the candidates that I found favorable, I could use RPA to take that data from IDP and launch into an email creation through RPA. Also, in turn, creating maybe a spreadsheet through Excel, because it has the Excel tool set within RPA. So there's so many different things you can do with this that you would think about having to do if you were actually interviewing 200 people. You'd weed them out. You'd want to capture your top, maybe 20 to communicate with, and then you would want to narrow it down. Well, you could use RPA for a lot of these different things, just in that particular use case as well. So in the, let's see, our time is pretty good here. Let me finish the Dreamforce presentation for you, and then what I'll do is circle back and, let's see, sorry, circle back. I was wanting to see if Joey replied. Circle back and go over some additional things that I can share with you from our actual platform that we have. Okay. So when it comes to the tools that we have available for automation under the MuleSoft umbrella, we've got Composer, as I mentioned, the low-code solution. RPA Manager, that is where we create our RPA bots. Anypoint Exchange, where we have our assets published to, whether it is a bot, whether it is a IDP document action, or whether it is a MuleSoft REST API, we can have those in exchange to be reused. Okay, so those give us the ability to use those in a Mule app. We can use those in Composer. So all of this whole tool set. Now, as you approach a solution for a client, you may use everything in your toolkit, or you may be specializing in certain areas. Like I've got one solution that's going to be IDP and RPA and MuleSoft and Salesforce. Another one is IDP and Salesforce. So it's just, they're going to have different components. That one also has MuleSoft. They're going to have different needs for your requirements, and your job as a hyperautomation specialist is to determine what's going to be the best fit for the solution that they are looking at and what they're needing. So these are the things available on the MuleSoft side that we can levy to provide that solution for the hyperautomation portion of it. Okay. Now, the part that I mentioned that has also been a big part of the hyperautomation benefits are the ability to easily streamline into a Salesforce organization. Whether it's any of them that are the core, or any of them like that are even like healthcare or marketing, we are able to integrate with that organization. When I first started teaching hyperautomation, there was a detailed process to make this integration happen. And hats off to the automation engineers that made this streamlined. So this little step here that you see that allows you to, easily integrate with Flow Builder is all we have to do now is simply log in to any point platform from a Salesforce org to make that happen. And then 4 different things occur on the Salesforce org that we normally had to go do manually. So they're holding true to automation, which then in turns allows you to use those assets right in Flow Builder. And that, just makes that integration piece so much easier to not only configure initially, but to support through versioning and support, like we're familiar with many of the features we have on any point platform, as we are managing the, software lifecycle development, as it is, going forward, and with changes and versioning as it goes forward. So we have all that benefit happening as a result of any point exchange. And with this integration piece, that also brings this, like I said, seamlessly into Salesforce. Another thing that is pretty interesting to note is that you can have one anypoint platform, but you can associate multiple Salesforce organizations with this anypoint platform. Okay. So if I had let's say I had a marketing cloud, and then I also had just a core Salesforce, and I wanted both of them to integrate with the MuleSoft assets in exchange, I could log in from both of those Salesforce orgs into and utilize the assets in that anypoint platform. So I have a little mini course that I do, and I do that. We actually integrate with 2 different Salesforce orgs and kind of show how you can move data from one to the other, or share it from there. So it's just providing us with more and more solutions that are more efficient automation. The hyperautomation, like I said, when you're branching out into other organizations and different platforms, it really gives it that full experience there. So dive into hyperautomation. I believe that these QR codes are going to work still. I don't know. Somebody try them. But there is an instructor-led hyperautomation course. I've taught that one from the very beginning when this course launched. At one time, I was the only U.S. instructor. There's another U.S. instructor right now. So if you're having a hard time getting in that class, I apologize. I know that the other instructor is currently out on paternity leave, and I am on a project. So kind of have, they're a little tight with instructors right now on there, unless you're going into another region to take the class. But check that out. That's a great class. You do all of the components all the way through it, from Mule, RPA, Composer, Salesforce Flow orchestration. They don't have IDP incorporated as of the last release. They may be adding that to it. So I anticipate that that course will be updated with intelligent document processing. There's also the Hyperautomation certification trail mix. And many of you know I'm huge on certification. I really encourage you to fight that battle. I'm going to tell you, this certification is not easy. Okay, I've got numerous recordings of Hyperautomation certification prep. Sometimes I'll do it as an intro to what hyperautomation is. Sometimes I'm deep diving into some of those really hard questions on the exam. And the thing that makes this exam so hard is that you're dealing with 5 different product lines, right? So you've got to learn them. You may be an expert in Salesforce. That's great. You got to learn the Mule stuff. You may be a muley, been a muley for a long time. That's great. You got to learn the Salesforce stuff and RPA and Composer. So anyway, I do encourage you to dive into this one and nail it. I do a lot of private coaching sometimes too. So if you need help with that, please reach out to me. Also too, you saw some slides on the MuleSoft community. It is a great place to learn. I see some familiar names in this meeting, in this meetup itself. And it is really a great place to ask questions, a great place to learn. We now have a Slack channel that you can also be invited to and be a part of. And then, of course, there is rank as you move up in the MuleSoft community as well. You come in as a member if you'd like to be if you would like to request to become a mentor. That's the first level. Barnes was recognized as one of the top mentors this last year. So he's soon to graduate and be promoted to the next level also. So hats off to you, Barnes, for achieving top mentor this last year. And then the next level above that is ambassador. And the ambassador, believe me, we have perks. I've been an ambassador for about 4 years now, and it really has been a great opportunity to help others grow and help encourage them in their career path. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, the confidence percent is shown only on the review section. Yes, yes. And it's only in the AI component. I'm sorry. It's in the, there's 2 places you will see that. But let me go ahead and stop my share for a minute. And Barnes, I'm going to transition back over to the slide presentation that you have. And while you're kind of closing or go ahead, I'll let you go from here.
Yep. Diane, did you have anything further to add to that? You were
yes.
mid-sentence. Okay.
While you're concluding this, I'm going to bring up our platform account and show them a few things on the platform account. So while you're doing that, let me grab that real quick. I wasn't sure how long I would have, how much time I would have, but yeah, if you want to finish up.
Sure. So who is next is your time to shine. That means that we are looking for speakers. So you could be part of the community. You could become a mentor, a meetup leader, a MuleSoft ambassador. There are lots of ways to get involved with that. Diane went over a lot of those. Thank you, Diane. A major upcoming event, one of the very next ones. I think there are maybe 3 left this year. I think Chicago, Atlanta, New York City, this coming month, November 20th, at the Javits, where it's always held in New York. That's a wonderful event. That's one of my favorites. I'm always there, always go to it, always a good time. Consider coming. And then what's next? So you can tweet the hashtag MuleSoft meetups when you talk about MuleSoft, and then feel free to join our network. We're going to have more of these in the upcoming months. If you'd like to be a speaker, please let us know. We are always looking for those. And then always feel free to provide feedback at meetups@mulesoft.com. And that's the end of our presentation, but I think you get a bonus tonight because Diane's going to actually show you some stuff. So if you got a few more minutes, I think we've got like 10 minutes left here in the meetup. So Diane, you're probably going to take this 10 minutes and show them some inner workings of the RPA or the IDP stuff, right?
Correct.
All right.
That is
I'm going to
correct.
stop my sharing and let you take over now.
Okay. Sounds good. There we go. I apologize in advance if my dog barks because he's hearing someone call him in the other room and he just started to bark. That's why I was pausing to keep quiet for a minute. Okay. So here is the platform. This is Barnes's account. Thank you, Barnes, again. We appreciate that. And in it has the automation SKU. So here is, or I should say, the automation entitlements. And under intelligent document processing, when you come in and you start creating document actions, you can click on create new and you have a choice. There's the invoice, the purchase order, and generic. Now, if you choose the invoice or purchase order, you still can add AI questions to those and get additional data. But now they're preset on some of the fields out of the box. It's ready to go, and it'll extract information for you, that for these preset fields. Now, we've been really working mostly with the generic, which is just going to be the Einstein component of it. So the one that was created for Dreamforce is this generic demo here. And this is the one I showed in the demo. And so, I can say, in JSON format, list all the certifications by name. Now, when you're creating the document, the prompts, these are the prompts that you see on the right. And when you're creating these prompts, you can set the confidence threshold. And so if it does not meet this threshold and it runs through the automation, it'll kick back and be a review task. I can set this as required or a non-required field. I can remove this confident threshold altogether if I wanted to and assess it on the other side in my output, in my JSON output in a Mule app if I wanted to. So there's various things you can do with that. Then again, summarize this document in detail, explain your reasoning step by step. So I was playing around with different things here. And believe me, some of these prompts can be really very long and detailed. Like, for example, if you're in healthcare, you might need a lot of data, from your documents. So they can be very long. And, so you're seeing an example of a very short one here. And I was trying to look for the actual resume, but let me see. Let me grab this one here. This is a good friend of mine. And I don't know if her stuff is all compiled together. That's just her resume. So let me go ahead and drop her resume in. I was looking for mine. That was like the 26-page one, but in a hurry, I couldn't find it right away. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this in. While it's running, I might be able to find mine. What is in this one? Okay, yeah. So let me run this while it's running. I'm going to see if I can find mine and be able to run it with the one you saw. And then, yes, we can look at that confidence level, that type of thing. Okay, so if we come here, it ran Tina's information here. And if we come to, I'll cancel that. Okay. If we come here and we can see that the Einstein has a confidence level of 97. And Leonardo, I'll check out your question in just a second here. And then if I do the drop down here, you see this little icon here, it will give me the option of either the Einstein or the IDP. Now, IDP did not find any information in particular, but it did work off of the Einstein in this case. And so it's finding her certifications and some of the information here. Again, if I go down and ask, summarize this document, and it's telling me details about this candidate. It's picking up information of her experience, application data. It's pulling her raw data, her experience as well here. The year. So it got a lot of data based on her resume from that. Now it's in JSON format that I can in turn use to capture, keywords I might be looking for in the logic of maybe my Mule app or wherever else I'm using that. If it's in RPA, that data can be used in RPA as well. Here is the top 10 strengths that I asked for. Okay, so again, if I open this up and I want to copy this, let me get my JSON tool here. And I put this information here. Let me grab this out 1 second. Put this information here. I had information on there that shouldn't be shared. Sorry about that. And here is my raw JSON, but here's now I can look at her top 10 strengths. And again, is she hireable type of thing? If I want to, I have the confidence level on this one that is at 90%. So it's showing, a really good response there. And Leonardo, you asked, okay, Barnes, you got that answer. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, we are doing, Barnes has got it for sure. And then let's say here is this is my packet. I did find it. And so now this one has not only text, but also too, it has some details pulled from my LinkedIn and some of the things that I do in LinkedIn, as far as instructing. And then it's got visuals on my certifications. Okay. Oh, A+. Woo, we're going way back now. And then there's my MuleSoft stuff. Okay. And so I can run it again. So you can have multiple documents across. It will treat each individual document when you're in like a testing or assessing mode. It'll treat each one like a single document and run this. So what we should do, Barnes, is for the next meetup, we need to show it like in a Mule app, and we need to show it actually functioning, and what that actually looks like on the other end. What do you think?
I think that would be a great one.
Yeah.
I think that would be great to show.
Yeah.
Because this is the designer interface, right? And it's really cool, but this is not how it looks in production. Right. It's just like you use Anypoint Studio to design your Mule application, but when you go to run it, it doesn't look like that, right? It's not running inside of Studio. It's deployed, and there are processes before it and processes after it. And IDP generally sits in the center of a stream of processes. So I can't see how it would work standalone. That just doesn't make any sense. So there's going to be something, documents being ingested. Then you need to apply AI to understand and read the documents, and then you've got something to do with that information afterwards. So that's the downstream part. And as Leonardo mentioned, a review process. So You may want to route the documents to different places, based on certain criteria. That's all part of it.
Yes. And it's really fascinating to see it work and to know the impact it's going to have, when you're providing this as a solution. So here's the endpoint. This is that same document action got published to Exchange. Again, I showed in the video part of it that there's the post. So essentially, the post goes in with a multi-form data with your document. Okay. So you have that logic coming in. Like we pick up info from a queue, add the document, run it through IDP, right? And then the next step would be the get. Okay. So the result that comes back from the post would be including an ID number, ID identifier. And so when you do the get, you would use that execution ID is the proper term for it, the execution ID. So it will go get your JSON results. Okay. So we've got to show you that. So stay tuned for part 2 coming up here. We were talking about doing it. The GA is in November 7th, right? So we were talking about doing it sometime around that period of time. So we will definitely keep you posted. And Naveen, can we send a link to a Google Drive with documents and have the IDP run through them to analyze?
Yeah, I was typing an answer. It's a great question. I was going to say not exactly what you would. Yes, you can process those documents, but you wouldn't do it exactly like that. What you would do is you would have a process, and this is the before process that I was speaking of. Go pick up the documents from the Google Drive and feed them into the IDP endpoint. So Diane, do you still have that? Oh yeah, you're in Exchange. Can you scroll up? So that endpoint right there, what she did when she was in the designer, can you flip back over to the designer? Got that up?
Yep.
She was in the designer, see the publish button in the upper right? She hit publish, and when she published it, it went into Exchange. So when it's in Exchange, then this is the documentation for the Exchange. So now it's got an API endpoint. So you'd have a process that goes pick up the documents from the Google Drive, and then iterate through them, push them to the IDP endpoint, get the result back, and then do whatever you need to do with that information downstream. Does that help? Y'all could unmute.
So essentially, Naveen, yes, you could if you have the logic set up on the front, like at the beginning part of a mule flow, to iterate and pull those documents, run it through the endpoint, right? So yes, you could do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, you are. In addition to the prompt responses, are you able to access the entire JSON of the OCR document? Yes. Evan, you are. Yes. That's what we'll show in the next demo. Because what you see here, well,
I think he's talking about the raw everything
of the entire document. You should get the results of like what we see here, and we're seeing the results of each of the prompts. You would get that in one big JSON. Is that what you're asking, Evan? You would get that in one big JSON. Yes, you would. Yeah. I know, Naveen, I think that this meetup was set to where you can't, unless we make you presenter. So next time we'll set it up to where you are able to unmute. Yeah. I think that was one of the settings, Barnes, that was there. Yeah. But if you have a question or have a request, I think our next one should be, taking out the, go the next step. Where do we go from here? Where can it be used in an RPA? Where can it be used in a Mule Flow and in Composer?
So I think we'll take it end to end, and we'll plan on doing that. We'll try to do that maybe next month. Take everyone through it. So it goes GA on the 7th, we believe. and we could have something prepared for thereafter. So. Okay, well, everyone, thank you for joining us. Good to see some familiar faces and nice to meet some new ones. Have a great evening. Thank you for attending. Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a
All
great
right.
evening,
Bye-bye.
everyone.